All right, another Friday, a mini video marathon for all of you. We're going to release this video, and there will be no Power 30. There will be no updated college football playoff predictions this week, as I just had a lot going on. But you will get Week 13 predictions that will come out later on this late afternoon, maybe even 5 o'clock, to which some of you that might start the evening. But of course, we always talk about my Buckeyes. Ohio State has beaten UCLA 48-10 in the latest game. The bear goes down, and the Buckeyes bashed the Bruins as the run game finally got going. There was a 15-year kick return drought that got ended. There were so many good things to see from this game. There were some not so good things as well. And again, as usual, we break down, we dive on into everything about Buckeye football. Hey, what's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Not only am I a big Ohio State fan, but I'm a sports media graduate with a massive passion for everything that goes on in the world of sports. Yes, that includes Ohio State, that includes Buckeye football, but that just means college football as a whole. And if you want to see all the stuff that I get to upload whenever I do upload stuff, again, at busy time, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you don't miss a single thing that I put out on this channel. And I believe that we're going to end up going through a format change here really quickly. I want to start doing a couple of different things just so that I can still put out content for you guys, and it can still be things that you guys will watch, and you know, you don't have to sit around and wonder and wait for content. So that's something that is buzzing up here in my head, as I am just very busy. So we are going to definitely find a way to where I can create some content for all of you to put out throughout the week. Makes sense? Cool. All right, let's talk about this game between Ohio State and UCLA. Again, Week 13 predictions will come out later on this afternoon. So when you talk about this game, we all knew how it was going to go. Buckeyes were supposed to trounce the Bruins. That's exactly what they did. But the health of Carnell Tate was a big thing coming into this game, and I am going to get in and touch on that later because I want to tie it into a conversation after we talk about the good that happened in this game. But the good that happened in this game was, the run game was the absolute biggest positive, and you had felt like over the past couple of games, like, okay, Penn State, they struggled against the run, they can get it going. It was fine. It was nothing flashy. Same thing with the game against Purdue, and where the run game was by no means a massive focal point, even though they did run the ball more in that game, and they did have 3 rushing touchdowns there. But regardless, this UCLA game is where the rushing attack really started to explode, and you read off the stat lines as follows. Bo Jackson, 15 carries, 112 yards and a touchdown. Isaiah West, 8 carries for 61 yards and a touchdown. James Peoples, 6 carries for 42 yards and 2 touchdowns, including this spectacular highlight reel hurdle move that you are going to see time and time again. So that was an absolutely phenomenal play, and it was really good to see this rushing attack get going too without C.J. Donaldson. He was a little bit banged up and probably still is a little bit banged up. I do not know if he is going to play the Rutgers game off the top of my head, but regardless, this is a running back room that can go 4 deep. In a lot of cases, they probably have to go 2 or 3 deep, because even though the run game got going here, right? Total of 222 yards on 33 carries. That's 6.7 yards per carry and 4 touchdowns. It was against the perfect opponent, because UCLA has had one of the worst rushing defenses in the entire country entering this game, and they obviously still will. But this was a game in which, again, they did it without C.J. Donaldson, but it still wasn't that explosive. 32 yards was the longest run from Bo Jackson. 38 yards was the longest run from Isaiah West. So they still were not ripping off these 40-plus yard runs that a lot of Buckeye fans have been missing in this run game. And now, albeit we were used to it last year, right? Quinshon Judkins, TreVeyon Henderson. TreVeyon Henderson especially was a lightning bolt, right? You think about the 75-yard screen pass against Texas. You just think about the way that he could make a couple cuts and bam, he was gone. You think about Quinshon Judkins' run against Marshall, right? All of that stuff that was explosive, and they ripped off these massive chunk yardage plays on the ground. That's just not what this rushing attack is. It's going to help to control the clock. It's going to grind stuff out here, and it's just going to end up being a game pacer and to help the Buckeyes control the pace. That is exactly what this run game has been this year and probably will have to be in the future. Now, you probably need this rushing attack to still rip off a big play here and there. And maybe the 40-yard plays, that might not be realistic, but some of these 30-yard runs, they've been really, really nice to see. And just these good chunk yardage plays on the ground to really set the offense up nicely, especially because you have the health concerns of Jeremiah Smith, the health concerns of Carnell Tate, and to just be perfectly honest on Nate, how concerned should Buckeye fans be about the health of the two best offensive players? I'd say very minimally. I don't really think it's going to be a massive issue. It looks like it's very precautionary reasons. However, it was not a good sign to see Jeremiah Smith limp off the field at halftime of this game, and that was after he hauled in 4 catches for 40 yards, and Julian Sayin kind of spread the football around to a little bit of everybody, and you could just tell it was not Julian Sayin's best day, right? Not having Jeremiah Smith, not having Carnell Tate out there. Now, Brandon Ennis did step up in a big way. He had 6 catches, but I still don't think he looked up to his fully tip-top, 100% good and ready form. I do believe that Brandon Ennis can get better, and I believe that Julian Sayin can form some better chemistry with the wide receivers that we saw here in this game. There were times where he just wasn't on the same page with Mylan Graham. Bryson Rogers, that was especially true, even though he did get the lone passing touchdown, and there was no pass completed that was over 21 yards. Even the incredible one-handed catch from Jeremiah Smith, I believe that was his longest reception of the day, that was only an 18-yard game. I think Buckeye fans need to change their mentality a little bit when it comes to the explosive plays, because yes, when you get into the playoffs and you start really getting down the stretch of this season here, you get to the Michigan game, you get to Indianapolis, you get to the college football playoff, again, if those things stand in the way, especially the latter two, of this Buckeye football team, you got to be able to rip off some of these big plays, man. And I have no issue with the pass game. I think Julian Sayin, these wide receivers are good enough to find their chemistry, and Max Clare is just a dangerous weapon. He has not been as involved in this offense as I thought he would be, as other people thought that he would be. However, he is such a secret weapon that, look, you find a way to cover Jeremiah Smith, you find a way to cover Carnell Tate, bam, they're going to rip the seam right there with Max Clare, and you're going to just think, okay, now what? This offense is really, really dangerous, and even though the run game has not been necessarily impressive this year, I do like the fact that they can go 4 deep in this running back room, and every back is going to give you a little bit of a different look in there as well. James Peoples is kind of your all-around, pretty good at everything, doesn't necessarily excel at any one thing. However, he is super athletic, and his cutting ability is great. That's what I love about Bo Jackson. And Bo Jackson, while not super speedy, is definitely has got a little bit of a bigger build to him. I just love the all-roundness of Bo Jackson. He is the best running back in this room. I was unsure about Isaiah West starting to get into this mix, but I've really liked him coming down the stretch. I think he's developed pretty fast and pretty nicely for this Buckeye team. And then CJ Donaldson, of course, is your short down back, your punch it in back. You need a guy to get that second effort, extend over the goal line. Bam, he's going to be there to do that for you. I know the Buckeye fans have not been super keen on what CJ Donaldson has done this year, falling below a lot of people's expectations, but especially when you have a by committee running back room, you need everybody to play their role. And I think CJ Donaldson absolutely plays his role. He's going to fight for the extra yards. He's your short down back. He's your goal to go back. I like the way that this Buckeye tailback room is starting to round into form, and everybody I think is starting to find their niche. Plus, it gives the defense a different look. It's really hard to prepare for 4 tailbacks, especially when one of them can jump over guys like that, the other can put a stiff arm and get you in the dirt, talking about Bo Jackson, and the other guy's just really tough to tackle, talking about CJ Donaldson and Isaiah West, sort of this X Factor unknown type player, and you never really know what you're going to get. It was really nice to see him rip off that 38-yard run. And that definitely gave some I don't know the word that I'm trying to look for here, but that just gave a very nice look to this Buckeye tailback room. Now, for the wide receivers, for Jeremiah Smith, for Carnell Tate, just be healthy going into November 29th. Okay, that's the only plea for me. Don't care if you play on Saturday against Rutgers. This would probably be a game where the Buckeyes can more so establish that ground game, save a couple of things in the pass game here for that game against the Maize and Blue, but just get healthy. Don't care about anything else. Just get healthy and play that game against Michigan. That is all that is needed to do. Get healthy and stay healthy. That is absolutely the thing that needs to happen. It doesn't have to happen for this Rutgers game. It's got to happen for just a little over a week's time, right? It's got to happen for November 29th. That is a must. Let's talk about special teams here, because special teams was special. And there are some instances, like when the Buckeyes had Jalen Marshall as a punt and kick returner, where things were really good. And there are some other explosive and dynamite plays that the Buckeyes have seen. But last year, Caleb Downs had the first punt return in quite a long time for this program. And now Lorenzo Styles Jr. is going to have the first kick return touchdown since, I believe, 2010. I think Caleb Downs' punt return was the first one since 2014. Was Jalen Marshall that did it. So apologies if I'm being fuzzy on the year there, but that was very much needed. And it came at a time where UCLA, all right, yes, we got that touchdown. We can have something to cheer about. And their moment of glory lasted about 10 seconds because Lorenzo Styles did. He was a couple yards deep in the end zone. People are calling it a 100-yard return. It was probably like 103, man. He was deep in, not deep, but he was a couple yards back in that end zone, and being able to take it out there and stretch that play further, pretty good to see. And you had the blocked punt in here too. I'm going to put quotes around it because it was a shanked punt that just so happened to target the chest of Caden Curry. There was really nobody near the UCLA punter whose name is escaping my mind. I will get it. Will Carroll. There was really nobody by Will Carroll. He just happened to, I don't know if he was feeling pressure or it was just a bad kick from him or what, but he shanked that punt, and it just went straight into the body of Caden Curry. Buckeyes were able to tack on a field goal there before the half. So special teams was special. This past game, yeah, it didn't show a lot. I'm not too worried about it. Defense played absolutely outstanding. Again, you put the backups in while UCLA is still trying to hum and get everything going. There's going to be some moments there late where this team allows some yards and whatnot. They did a really good job of containing the ground game. They did a pretty decent job on third down, not as great as we've seen them do, but again, water under the bridge. They only allowed 8 first downs to this UCLA team, and they just could not get anything going. Again, the Buckeyes did this without forcing a single turnover, where they really haven't forced that many turnovers this year, and yet they are still running teams out of the building. And you can only assume that it's probably going to happen with Rutgers, although this is college football. Chaos can strike at any point. But if everything that we've seen continues, Buckeyes should have no problem with Rutgers. And this is not, I'm not a player. I'm not a coach. So I'm going to commit a cardinal sin here. I'm going to look ahead, right? I'm allowed to do that. I'm a fan. I'm an analyst. Let's look ahead here for 1 second. And we're going to dive way more in depth on this when my OSFR video for the Rutgers game comes out. But Michigan, I keep telling people, man, and again, I'm just going to keep hammering it home. There's no reason not to. This team is not clicking on all cylinders yet. In fact, again, UCLA, Purdue, past couple games they've played, they've been pretty sloppy. This was a much better performance from the Buckeyes, but it still is not as good as I've seen them play this year. And I still don't think anybody has seen their best. Compare the best performance that this team has played all season long. You could probably argue that's Minnesota. You could probably argue to some certain extent it's Penn State. But this team just has not been clicking on all cylinders. It's not been putting the gas pedal to the floor. It has not been buttering your bagels, soda will. Whatever analogy or metaphor you want to use, it just has not been playing to its full capacity. It's saving stuff for this game on November 29th. The Scarlet and Gray, I believe, are saving some special little game plans for what is to come in that game against Maize and Blue. They're passing the eye test. They got all the talent in the world, and yet you still get this feeling that there is so much more that this team can give us. I don't know what it is. I've been saying it all season long because I believe it to be true, right? I believe that this team just has a lot more to give. I believe that there is so much more that this team can do, and there is so much that there's just so much room for improvement here with this team. It starts with getting the wide receivers healthy. It starts with finding ways to manufacture explosive plays on the ground for this rushing attack. There are so many different ways that I think this team can get better and improve, get more consistent pressure to the quarterback defensively. There have been a couple of lapses in the secondary throughout points this year. Clean those up, clean some of the back end tackling up, and man, you got yourself just a wagon of a team that they already are. But that wagon is going to turn into a Lamborghini or a Bentley or a Porsche really, really fast. So I'm really excited to see how they attack this Rutgers game. It's going to be the big noon game. And then, of course, a big noon in the big house there against the Maize and Blue. Can absolutely not wait to see the Scarlet and Gray and the Maize and Blue Ohio State, Michigan face off this year. I think it's going to be a thrilling contest. But that's all I got for this game. Again, we will get Week 13 predictions out here momentarily, and I'll see all you guys in the next video. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. Short video week, but next week, for your turkey week, we'll be sure to have the full slate of content out. Goodbye, everyone.